everyone. This is Live and Local with Debbie. It's been a while since I've put up a show, but here we are. Today, I am going to interview a gentleman who is putting on a festival called Forest of Freedom. It's a music and arts festival that is being held in Bellevue, Ohio, July 1st through the 4th, 2021, which is nice to hear because that means we are all out playing again and we get to enjoy some of the summer, unlike last year where we just kind of stayed home. So, hello, Forrest. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. So, Forrest Segal, is that your legit name? Or your...
As far as you know.
Oh, well, okay, that's fair. All right. So, tell me about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where did you come from?
Who am I? Where did I come from? Wow, loaded questions. Well, I grew up in Boston, and I've always been a music guy. I've always, I started seeing the Grateful Dead when I was like 14, and started seeing Fish when I was 18, and eventually I gravitated towards. Oh, we need to stop for a second. Sorry, Dave is here, and so if you want to start over.
I mean, he can just jump in. It's fine.
All right. So, cool. So anyway, I'll start over.
Okay.
I got distracted by that, so sorry about that. So I grew up in Boston. I've always been a music guy. I used to go see the Grateful Dead, when I was 14, started seeing Fish when I was 18. Eventually, I heard about this band Ekoostik Hookah when I moved to Pittsburgh in the late 90s, and my friend was like, you got to go see this band, So I went and saw them at a bar, and or a little theater there, actually, and then that led to me going to their festival called Hookahville, which the first time I went to Hookahville, they had Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead with his band Rat Dog there, and that was one of the first big festivals that I attended. I used to just go to concerts, but 3 days of music, I was like blown away by this. So I started putting the idea in my head, even 20 years ago, that, hey, this is something that I kind of want to do. And, it takes a while for, things to happen. You gotta build up your connections and things like that. And just through me going to a lot of music festivals, I met a lot of these really cool bands. And, it's made it possible and very easy to put on a music festival. It's not easy, but it makes it easier when you have the right people behind you that also have the same vision that you have. So it's pretty cool.
So Hookahville was in Pennsylvania?
No, Hookahville's in Ohio every year. They do it twice a year, Memorial Day and Labor Day. They've been doing it. I think the last one we just went to, the last event they had was their 30th anniversary concert. But their Hookahvilles, I believe the last one they did was 50. Dave can confirm this when he comes on. I think it's like 53 or 54. So they do them twice a year. And, I've seen some pretty big Hookahvilles. I've seen some pretty small Hookahvilles. But, for me, Hookahville, when I would go there, and the kind of the vibe that I'm bringing to Forest of Freedom is that family vibe. Like, I would go, I see all the same people at each Hookahville or different festivals that I go to. I see all the same people. So I kind of like that family vibe. So that's kind of what the Forest of Freedom is about. Everybody that works for me on my staff are people that I met through going to music festivals. Cool. And, we all have the same vision of, we know we've been going to music festivals for so long, so we kind of know what we like to see at festivals and on the back end of it, what needs to be done, and it makes it easy for us to put on a festival like this when we have those kind of knowledgeable people. It's not just me. There's a whole staff, and even Dave. He's one of the musicians, but even he's helped me. Again, the inspiration for a lot of what I do comes from his band, and so he's been very gracious to give me advice here and there when I needed it. So he's been a big help as well.
Oh, and there he is. He's not connected. No. Hi, Dave.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. I'm Debbie,
Hey, Debbie.
and we are just picking first screen about the festival and how he got into it. What year was your first festival, Forrest?
The first festival that I went to
No,
was
the first
probably
first one that you did.
the first one that I did. Oh wow. I guess I would say 2018. We did one in Chicago. It was a 2-day indoor event.
Okay.
But I've helped out on a lot of festivals as far as me being like responsible. 2018, and so this one that we're doing this year technically is our first outdoor one. We were supposed to do it last year, but we all know what happened last year.
Right.
So technically it's my first outdoor one, but I've been a part of a lot of events. You know, I've worked different things at different events before, so it's something that is it comes pretty easy, but it's also very, you have to be very organized. As Dave knows, there's a lot of people that go into throwing a music festival, and you know you got to make sure you have the right people there, otherwise it'll blow up in your face.
So, so tell me tell me some of the things that go into it in making a festival.
Well, obviously you've got to have the music. Um, you know, that's what people come for. If you don't have the good bands, you're not going to have the crowd, or any bands. You're not going to have the crowd. But there's so much more to it. You know, there's figuring out how many people are coming, how many toilets you need, how many vendors you need, like, you know, how many different people you want to sell tie-dye, or how many different food vendors you need, you know, how much space you have for parking, how many RVs you can let in, how much space you have for camping. You know, there's just a long list of logistics. And I've been very lucky that most of the people on my staff, each one of us has our own job that we're good at. For example, my friend Eric Meyer, he is a vendor by trade. He goes and vends at a lot of these festivals. So naturally, he knows what he's doing as far as like coordinating what the vendors need. I know music. I know the band. So I'm good at coordinating that. Betsy Shinners, who you've met, is our art director, and she knows, a lot about art. So it's everybody doing their part, I think, is what makes a festival work. I'm sure Dave might have some different input. He's been doing festivals a lot longer than me.
So, Dave, what have you done?
What have I done?
Well, legally, what have you done? And how did you get started?
With festivals?
Yes.
Well, the first festival that I took part in throwing was the first Hookahville, which was in 1994, and I don't know if I would actually go as far as to say that was actually a festival. It was more just my band playing in the woods where I lived, but it became a festival. So the second Hookahville was probably actually the first festival, and that's where we had to secure a venue, which is the first thing you have to do. And then all the stuff that Forrest is talking about, but I put in also that, you have to have security. You have to figure out how much security you need. There's the complete back end of it that people don't see at all. There's the dealing with the local authorities to make sure that, that you're going to get what you want from them, and they're not going to get what they don't want from you. You have to also deal with the health departments and make sure that everything's up to code and that your vendors are up to code. And this also depends on the size of the festival as to how much of that type of thing you have to deal with. We've had to go to town hall meetings to get things okay for festivals before. So sometimes you really have to dig deep in order to get all the permits you need and have everything allowed that you want to do. But I've been part of putting on festivals since '94, pretty consistently twice a year, and then besides that, played at countless festivals. I couldn't even begin to count how many I've been to as a musician.
With all of the details and all of the meetings and permits, do you guys enjoy it? What do you enjoy about all of that?
Well, I have the added bonus of being in a band, so I get to play. But I think from just throwing a festival standpoint, you bring, you see it. It's similar to playing in a band. I mean, you see the reaction from the people there. You create the environment, you brought that to them for that weekend or however long it is. And I think that, as a performer or as hopefully, if you're lucky, whatever your job happens to be, part of the, bonus that you get and the payoff is that you bring happiness into people's lives. So that could be for, whatever you are. It doesn't really matter. You're a doctor, you help people feel better. Mechanic, you fix their car, and they walk away happy. So the idea, I think, basically is that, you go in hoping everybody has a great time. And if they do, then you feel great about it.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. And for me, I talk to a lot of people at festivals, Dave. I know you talk to quite a few people. And for me, the end result is, if I can talk to someone and they leave my festival with a smile on their face and said how much of a good time they had, that really is kind of the end result that I'm going for. It's a party that I'm throwing and there's a lot of bands that I like, but in the end, it's about the people that come. And if everybody has a good time, then, I feel great about putting it on.
That's really cool. I mean, I like that. Forrest, do you play any instruments?
No. I'm one of the worst musicians you'll ever hear. That's why I do the behind the scenes stuff.
So tell me, I know last year was canceled. Basically, the whole year was canceled. But what have you done for this year's festival that if people come, they know it's going to be safe?
So there will be, for example, for the musicians, because I know you're a musician, you're playing on Saturday.
Yes,
we are going to have a barrier in between the stage and the audience. We're going to rope off 6 feet from the front of the stage, so no one can go within 6 feet of the musicians. As far as any of the other restrictions, whatever restrictions are in place in Bellevue at the time of the festival, we will follow. We're obviously encouraging people to be vaccinated and wear masks, but we feel like people get that message already. We don't really need to push that. We're going to do everything we can as far as the health restrictions go. But, at this point in the game, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, then you shouldn't be doing anything.
That's true. Are you allowing a certain amount of people in and then cutting it off?
I have 500 tickets for sale. And I believe that number might change in the next couple of days. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I won't go any higher than 750. The property there holds, I think, like a little over 1,000. So I'm going for, 75% capacity or whatever they allow us at. Right now it's at 500. That's self-imposed by me, but I have to check the numbers. But, 500 people at the Coyote Grove will feel like a really good time.
Okay. So it's at the Coyote Grove. Is that
right?
That's the land you're using?
Right. They do a lot of festivals there. It's very primitive. Dave's played there before a couple times. It's very primitive. It's just sort of like an open field next to some woods. They set up a stage. We bring the bands there. We set everything up. It looks great when it's set up, but if there wasn't a festival going on there and you drove by it, you would have no idea what you were looking at. It's just kind of hidden. There's not electricity there. There's not running water there. It's very, very, very primitive, but they do a lot of festivals there. We bring in generators, things like that. So, there'll be portable water stations, things like that. But, you got to get creative and use what you got. It's a great piece of land, and we have to get creative with it, and we usually do.
So how did you hook up with them?
Coyote Grove?
Yeah.
I actually went and saw, the first time I went there was this festival called Shindiggity. I actually went there because Dave's band Ekoostik Hookah was playing, and when I saw this place, I was like, oh my goodness, this is where, because 2019, I went and did probably 8 or 9 festivals with the idea that I was scouting locations. I'm like, okay, I went to a lot of places I'd never been to before, and of all the locations that I scouted, Coyote Grove at the time was the most feasible, and it was definitely, I felt that family vibe there. I met the owner that weekend. We talked about it, and the festival was pretty much booked right then and there and born from that moment.
So is that where you want to stay for future festivals?
I mean, I don't plan on going anywhere. I mean, I got a good relationship with them. I don't have any plans right now. I mean, obviously things change. If the numbers need me to go to a bigger place, obviously I will, but that'll be something that'll be discussed down the road. But for right now, it's, we're at Coyote Grove.
Okay, cool. Tell me some of the bands that are playing.
We have our headliners are so we have a full day of music Thursday for the early bird. We're gonna have 4 bands there. Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules will be our headliners that day. Friday night we have a very wonderful Fleetwood Mac tribute band called Rumors.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're really great. And then followed by a Fish tribute band called the Helping Friendly Band, which should be pretty awesome. Funk Factory's gonna play. Dustin Smith and the Daydreamers are playing on Saturday night. They're our Saturday night headliners.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Herbie and the Love Bugs are playing, as you know.
Oh my God, I love that band.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. The one girl Debbie's pretty cool in that band. So I think. And then, but on Sunday we are having, I believe Dave can confirm this, but the first time ever that McStarKatz is playing electric. It's going to be Dave, Ed McGee, Cliff Starbuck, and they're going to be joined by Joe Marcinek and Tony Kazel. And Dave can tell you about that, actually.
All right, Dave, tell me. You're on mute. Dave, you're on mute. Dave.
You're muted.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I didn't touch anything. I all of a sudden saw something that said the host muted me.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
So, anyways, yeah, it's the first time McStarKatz is myself and like you said, Ed and Cliff, who were former members of Acoustic Hookah, and we get together periodically to do 3-piece acoustic shows. And this is the first time that we're doing a full band electric show and bringing in Joe Marcinek on guitar and Tony Kazel on drums. So yeah, it'll probably I don't know what we're playing yet, so I'll say it'll probably be similar to what we do as a 3-piece, just expanding as far as the selections of songs that we typically do. But going electric will open it up for us to do some other songs that wouldn't be as effective as a 3-piece acoustic act that we used to play together in Acoustic Hookah. So it actually opens up everything, the whole repertoire, I suppose. Right. So I have no idea what we're going to do.
So are you doing original material?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of it will definitely be original. And one of these days I'll have to start thinking about, getting a list of songs because, Joe and Tony have never played with us before. And there may be a handful of songs that they've played with me personally and other side projects that I do that are originals of mine that they know, but they probably don't know any of Ed's originals at this point. And Cliff, he does have one original, which I'm not sure if he'll do or not, but most of what he did as far as being lead singer were covers, like bluegrassy covers, a lot of that type of thing, and some what would you call them, standards, like old, like Deep River Blues type standards, which isn't one that he's saying, but that's just what came to mind. Old John Henry, things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to be, I'm excited for it.
Time is running out, right? It's next month.
I have a show coming up in 2 days that I still have to figure out what I'm going to do. So that's just the way I roll. I have a lot of different things going on this summer with a lot of different projects, and I'm kind of taking them week by week, because then next week I'm doing a thing that has nothing to do with this, but with Katz and Jammers, which we haven't played in a a year, and I have to figure out when we're going to do that show, and then I have, so that's what I do. It's just kind of a week by week thing now, but we'll come up with a great show. I'm pretty confident of that.
So
I don't really think set lists are your thing anyway.
They're not, but when you do something like this, you almost have to come up with one.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a set list, but at least a selection of songs that we can choose from, even if they're not put in order, just because, Joe and Tony are going to have to learn the songs. So, and obviously I can't ask them to learn. I don't know. I think I have close to, or maybe even more than 100 originals, and Ed's probably got, I'm just guessing that Ed might have 40 or something. I mean, it's a lot. I can't just say, hey, learn 150 songs and we'll pick from those. That's not
right.
So we'll come up with a pretty inclusive list for them to get familiar with anyways. But it'll be very off the cuff as far as when we actually play the songs. We will, as is the case with all of the things that I do, but especially this, we will not be regimented in the way we play the songs. It's just like knowing the framework of the song and let's go. So,
okay.
It'll be fun.
Cool. So, are you planning or are you hoping to take this electric band now and start touring and start playing?
I
wait and see. Okay.
I don't have plans. I mean, it would be some, as far as this particular band, no, it won't be any sort of tour because we all have other things we do. So there wouldn't be the time for us, the three of us, to really like just tour together in any way, or the five of us for that matter. But I, hope that we get to do it again at some point, and maybe a few times or many times over the years. I don't know. I mean, that's up to the promoters. I mean, it was. Forrest and I, are we calling you Forrest here?
Yes.
Okay. Just curious. I thought I heard that at the beginning. That I'm not used to that. I have to look at your little screen there and say, oh yeah, Forrest. So Forrest and I, just kind of, that idea came up as something that would be unique to this particular festival. If he wants to do it again next year, or some other, somebody hears about it, calls me up or emails me or whatever and asks about it, it'll always be available to some extent.
Right.
Well, as I was telling her, a lot of the inspiration that I take for my festival comes from you and your band and stuff like that. So as long as there's a Forest of Freedom, in some way, shape, or form, Dave Katz is going to be a part of it. So we'll have to figure all that out, though.
And I'll put this out there right now. If Forrest happens to want to buy the rights to that particular lineup, I could probably put a price on that.
Oh,
we'll talk. We'll talk.
You heard that here first. Do you plan on doing this again next year?
I have plans running through my head about the 2023 Forest of Freedom. It's just, we'll see, where obviously with festivals like this, you can either do really well or do, not really well. So it sort of all depends on how it catches on. But I definitely have plans for 2022 and beyond. So this isn't a one-time thing. This is the inaugural event of hopefully many, many more Forest of Freedoms to come. I have ideas for other festivals too. They don't sort of fit in this genre. So, but I have ideas. I constantly have ideas. Just we'll see how many of those ideas actually, work out.
So what do you do when you're not planning a festival?
I go to festivals. No, I go to a lot of music. I do support a lot of music. By trade, I've worked in restaurants for 20 some odd years, and, doing that, you get a lot of bands that come into bars and stuff like that. So you get, a combination of that. But my main thing is music. I just started the company that runs Forest of Freedom. It's called Backwoods Shows. And that is, I'm going to be, now that I'm in Toledo, where there's more of an opportunity as far as clubs and things like that, I'm going to be bridging out into promoting shows in clubs, not just festivals, but like one night shows. So I'm a music promoter. You know, I've always loved music, and you know, I like I said earlier, I've volunteered at festivals. You know, I've done everything from running the gate to, you know, running VIP rooms to, you know, doing whatever I can do. You know, they always stick me on parking in Hookahville. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about that, but that's another story. But it's just, you know, I love doing festivals, and I mean, it's a great way to, you know, everyone, um, meet everyone, and you know, the thing I was saying earlier that I love about festivals is you see the same people, you know, at each festival.
Right.
And it's almost like a family. And it's like, you know, you don't have to wonder, hey, how are these people doing? You're going to see them next week. They're going to tell you.
Right. So now, also, besides the music, you'll have vendors, food and crafts and things like that. What type of vendors?
I've got, I believe at last count, it was 16 craft vendors, everything from tie-dyes to, you know, handbags and, you know, homemade hippie stuff and, you know, all kind of things. I've got 3 food vendors. I have, the Mobile Family Cafe, which is it's a truck. They do Philly cheesesteaks, they do burgers, they do fries. I also have What About Bob's, which, is, they do like kebabs, chicken steak, served over rice, things like that. And then I also have a vegan, I believe her name is Nutritious Nellie's. I hope I got that right. She's coming in and doing strictly vegan food. But then I also have walking vendors, which is people who don't necessarily need a booth. Maybe somebody has, you know, a couple hundred pins they want to sell, so they can walk around. You know, they'll get a pass that says they're a vendor. They can walk around and sell things, you know, at the campsites and things like that. Stuff that they don't need a booth for. So there's a lot of different vending. There's art, the art box, which is run by my partner Betsy Shinners. They are preparing a huge, a visual or artistic. I don't even know how to describe it, but they're doing art installations, and there's going to be lots of things to do. They're going to have some yoga there. They're going to have somebody playing violin over the yoga. They have art installations they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this just besides a band on a stage. I mean, you know, if you don't want to listen to the band and you want to go hang out and stare at the art, you're going to be able to do that.
Fantastic. And now there's camping as well, right?
Yeah, there's camping. It's included with the ticket price. And it's in the woods. We also offer RV camping and camp by car at an additional price. But just regular camping is included with the ticket prices, which I wanted to say, on the ticket prices, they're $50 right now, get you in the door for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That includes your camping. So at the gate, if you wait till the gate, they go up to $70. So I'm telling everyone, look, 3 days, 3 days of music for $50 and camping. I mean, you can't even get that at a KOA.
That's true.
And they don't have any music.
Well, that's true also. All right. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I'm excited about checking it out, and playing there. I mean, that's the added bonus. Dave, what do you do besides being a band and do festivals? Nothing else?
My wife works me to the bone at home. No, I mean, I spend time with my family. That's what I do. I have 2 kids. Bunch of dogs, 4 dogs now, and I enjoy being at home. So, I as far as professionally goes, I don't do anything else except for playing and helping to put on Hookahville. You know, there's little things here and there that are in the works here and there, but everything's music related as far as professionally goes. Everything's the music industry for me.
That's fantastic. I mean,
I wanted to mention it before we let Dave go. For those of you that maybe are not familiar with this project or any of his projects, his band, Ekoostik Hookah, 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, just celebrated their 30th anniversary of being a band. They did it at Legend Valley on the biggest stage they've ever played on. And so I would highly recommend anyone that is interested in finding great new music to listen to Ekoostik Hookah, because honestly, without Hookah, and you know, I've said this to Dave before, but it holds true. Like, a lot of the inspiration that I take for what I do comes from his music and his band, and so they're a big part of what we do.
Well, and I've heard some of your music, and it's incredible. I mean, the band is tight, and it's got some really cool rhythms to it. If somebody wants to get hold of you, Dave, how do they do that?
Well, there's a bunch of ways. If you go to the Acoustic Hookah website, which is Ekoostik.com, but we spell acoustic phonetically, so it's EKOOSTIK.com. I'm listed as the manager, booking agent, whatever. So my phone number's on there, my email's on there. You can call me, you can email me. My email is dave@acoustik.com. And you can also find me on Facebook, where I am Dave R. Katz. And I'm easy to find. You can message me or whatever. I'm pretty easy about how I do things. I don't really, as long as I'm awake, don't try me in the morning because I won't. But as long as I'm awake, I'm available to talk about music, do business, whatever it happens to be.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you, Dave, coming out and sharing your music with us. First, if somebody wants to get hold of you or find out more information about the festival, how do we do that?
The festival has a Facebook page, Forest of Freedom Music and Arts Festival, or you can just type in @Forest of Freedom on Facebook. You can find all of us through there. We all answer messages through that. There's a ticket link there. The flyer is there. All kind of information. So that's the best way to get a hold of the festival. I'm just Forest Segal on Facebook, FORESTSEGAL. You can find me there. I got like 3,000 friends, so I accept anybody that contacts me. Well, you got to put your name out there, So that's pretty much how to get a hold of me.
All right. Well, gentlemen, is there anything else you would like to add before we head out?
I would say, after whoever's watching this, after you go to Forest of Freedom, which you should definitely do, there's a lot of great music around, and I would say support everybody right now that you can, just because it was a rough year last year, to say the least. But it was rough for people who don't play music too, and I get that. But if you're picking and choosing about what you're going to do, I highly suggest you look into Hookahville, which is going to be Labor Day weekend at Brushy Fork Family Ranch, which is just outside of Newark, Ohio. It's going to be a great time, and Hookahville, we've been doing it a long time. We know how to do it. It's always fun. So I'll put a shameless plug in there for the next Hookahville, but I'm really looking forward to Forest of Freedom and doing this electric McStarKatz show. It's going to be a lot of fun. First time, hopefully not the only time, but there's first time for everything, and this is it. So on July 4th, we get to play on July 4th on Sunday, which is odd also. So I know that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will rock, and that's about all I got.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of you for doing this, and everyone, if you can take some time and check out what these gentlemen have to offer, and I will see you all around. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
This has been a production of WAKT 1061 WAKT Radio, hosted by Debbie DeStano. The purpose of this program is to talk music, upcoming events, and features artists and producers of events and venues in the vicinity of Northwest Ohio as a service to musicians and fans. No compensation has been received for the production of this program. Intro and closing music is called Man Outta Town by Forget the Whale and has been provided under use of guidelines from freemusicarchive.org and Creative Commons.